Malaysia continues attracting big global investments. United Nations urged to stop Russia's aggression. Thanks for joining us. You're watching Updates at Noon with me, Otto Othman. Now, Malaysia continues to attract big investments from global companies due to its current political stability, strong supply chain ecosystem and the top salesman role being played by Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim. Investment, Trade and Industry Minister Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz said the US-China trade war was also benefiting ASEAN countries, with some companies relocating to Malaysia and Vietnam to realign their supply chain. According to him, Malaysia's political situation is no longer a major concern among potential investors. He said the investors also conveyed their wishes to work with local industry players.
Itu biasa mereka hendak macam-macam insentif, ya, insentif. Dan bagi saya insentif yang mereka minta ataupun mereka pohon itu mestilah ada spillover yang positif kepada rakyat dan juga kepada syarikat-syarikat kita, terutamanya syarikat PKS. So it has to be a win-win lah. So kalau spillovernya creating the right kind of jobs, ya, dan creating the right kind of spillover to our local companies, then we can consider the incentive yang mereka minta lah, usually tax incentive dan sebagainya.
Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul said this during a press conference with the Malaysian media on the sidelines of the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly, or UNGA. The minister also said that Datuk Seri Anwar, who is also the finance minister, is scheduled to participate in a roundtable discussion with Fortune 500 companies, as well as an engagement session with Invest Malaysia New York. He will also hold meetings with entrepreneurs and potential new investors from the US, such as Boeing, Kimberly-Clark, Philip Morris International, and Procter & Gamble, PNG. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim left for New York last night to attend the 78th United Nations General Assembly, UNGA. Accompanying him were his wife, Datuk Seri Dr. Wan Azizah Wan Ismail, and other members of the Malaysian delegation. Datuk Seri Anwar, in his Facebook post, said that in the gathering with world leaders, he would share Malaysia's efforts in dealing with the climate crisis to achieve the 2030 agenda, the country's roadmap under the Malaysia Madani framework, as well as several other global issues. This is Datuk Seri Anwar's first appearance at the annual gathering, and he is scheduled to deliver Malaysia's national statement at the general debate on Friday. More than 150 world leaders are gathering in New York as the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly, UNGA, kicked off yesterday without leaders of 4 of the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council, or UNSC. This year's UNGA, which is the main policy-making organ of the United Nations, is once again focusing on issues such as the global food crisis, rising food prices, global warming, and the Ukraine-Russia conflict. In keeping up with decades-long traditions, Brazil President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva was the first leader to present his national statement at the general debate, followed by U.S. President Joe Biden as the host country. In his speech, the U.S. President, the only leader of the permanent members of UNSC in attendance, urged the rest of the world to stand up to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin, his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping, French President Emmanuel Macron, and British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak skipped the week-long gathering. But the annual gathering will see the return of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, as the country's conflict with Russia remains one of the key talking points at the UNGA. Besides state and government leaders, hundreds of representatives from various UN agencies and civil society organizations are taking part in dozens of events scheduled throughout the week. This year's theme for the general debate is Rebuilding Trust and Reigniting Global Solidarity, Accelerating Action on the 2030 Agenda and its Sustainable Development Goals SDG towards peace, prosperity, progress and sustainability for all. We will have more updates from New York in our foreign segment. Now, on to the local front. Police are tracking down 5 individuals believed to be involved in the case of a man being shot dead along Jalan Hutan Queen in Machang last Sunday. Kelantan Police Chief Datuk Muhammad Zaki Harun said they have yet to identify the registration plate number of the vehicle used by the suspects because there was no closed-circuit television camera in the area.
Okey, kes tu masih dalam siasatan dan kita masih lagi cuba mengesan dikatakan 5 orang sebenarnya kalau mengikut kepada maklumat. Jadi kita akan kesan. Kerana kalau kita tengok nak tahu motif ni, saya tengok dari segi rekod jenayah yang mati ni, yang meninggal, yang dimangsa ini ada mempunyai rekod jenayah yang banyak dan juga rekod mengenai drug. Ada 12 rekod kata silap saya.
The Kelantan Police Chief was speaking after visiting the Malaysia-Thailand border in Bangkalan Kubo. He said the case is being investigated under Section 302 of the Penal Code. In the 5:45 p.m. incident, the 38-year-old businessman was in a 4-wheel drive 4WD vehicle in front of an auto parts shop when he was shot. Based on a preliminary investigation, 2 unknown male suspects in a white Honda car fired several shots from close range towards the 4WD, hitting the victim, who was in the driver's seat. 3 men were killed after a double-decker express bus they were travelling in crashed at kilometre 81 Jalan Lipis Merapoh near Kampung Kubang Rusa, about 90 kilometres from Kuala Lipis early this morning. The 3 victims were identified as the bus driver Abdul Aziz Daud, 63, and 2 passengers, Shukri Matno, 55, and Hussein Kamal, 41, a Bangladeshi national. Lipis Police Chief Superintendent Azli Muhammad Noor said the 1:15 a.m. accident occurred when the bus, ferrying 18 passengers, was travelling from Kota Baru, Kelantan to Kuala Lumpur. According to Pahang Fire and Rescue Department JBPM Assistant Director of Operations Ismail Abdul Ghani, a total of 24 firemen from Kuala Lipis and Gua Musang Fire and Rescue stations were rushed to the scene. The driver of the bus is believed to have lost control of the vehicle while navigating a corner before it skidded to the road shoulder and landed on its side. 6 other passengers and the bus's second driver sustained injuries. The bodies of 3 victims were taken to Kuala Lipis Hospital for post-mortem. The case is being investigated under Section 4(1) Bracket 1 of the Road Transport Act 1987. Bursa Malaysia stayed mixed at mid-morning amid continuous selling in selected heavyweight stocks. At 11 a.m., the Bursa Malaysia KLCI fell 3.70 points or 0.25% to 1,453.96 from yesterday's close of 1,457.66. The following are the 6 most active counters this morning. Jordal Takzim JDT failed to take advantage of playing their opening Asian Football Confederation Champions League ACL match on home turf after losing 1-0 to Japan's Kawasaki Frontale at the Sultan Ibrahim Stadium in Iskandar Putri last night. Brazilian striker Marcino's scissor kickoff at Tatsuki Seiko header on the stroke of half-time was enough to ensure a victory for the Vistas in their Group L match. JDT, winner of numerous titles on domestic competitions, failed to find the target despite numerous chances that came along their way, and their normally lethal strike force failed to ignite when it really mattered most. The Malaysian Super League champions under Esteban Solari managed to hold their own against the 4-times J-League champions, but the Japanese outfit held on to claim all 3 points. JDT had a good look at goal when presented a free kick just outside the penalty box, but Spanish striker Juan Muniz Gallego sent his shot well over the crossbar. JDT will next take on BG Pathum United at the Pathum Thani Stadium on October 3rd for their second match in the campaign.
Kejuaraan Petronas Malaysian Cup Prix 2023 Pusingan 7 kali ini menggegar litar permotoran Terengganu. Nantikan aksi-aksi pelumba menakluk litar dengan kemahiran dan keberanian. Sabtu 23 September 2 petang di TV2. Saksikan juga secara penstrima langsung di RTM Klik. Temasya sukan terulung di benua Asia dengan acara gilang gemilang. Perarakan kontingen atlet-atlet dari 44 buah negara bakal diraikan dalam perasmian pembukaan Sukan Asia ke-19 Hangzhou 2022 Sabtu 23 September 6.45 petang di saluran OK dan saluran sukan RTM. Saksikan juga secara penstrima langsung di RTM Klik. Bersama RTM, penyiar rasmi.
Well, that ends updates at noon. Wrapping up with a reminder of our top story today. Malaysia continues attracting big global investments. Now, tune in to Malaysia Tonight coming up at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 and saluran Berita RTM. I'm Otto Othman. Malaysia Madani, take up perpaduan, penuhi harapan.